out there in the internet world? It's your bearded brothers, and we're back after Wildcard Weekend. I am your bearded brother, Matt.
I'm alive.
That's the bearded brother, Chris. We're both alive. We are both back with yet another sports podcast. And we have some things to go over, and we have some games to talk about, some games that we don't want to talk about. But some things that we do need to talk about. So, with that being started, I'm not sure where I want to start. I think I want to start by making us all laugh so we can start on a good note.
Well, right. I mean, I was going to say it depends on where you're going, because we have a lot of news to also talk about, too.
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about is some news. This is, in particular, injury news. And this is injury news that we shouldn't laugh at, but we're going to anyway because of who it happened to. You know exactly where I'm going. For those of you that have not heard, Deshaun Watson has ruptured his Achilles again post-surgery and is likely out for next season. Yeah, look, we could talk all we want about the great train robbery for Herschel Walker, but I still think this Watson one...
I think this one's honestly worse.
I think this one is honestly worse. I'm going to make a case now that this might be the worst trade in NFL history. I mean, the 49ers moving up to get Trey Lance is bad.
That's pretty bad, too.
That was bad.
That's turning out to be pretty bad.
This isn't like, that didn't fuck their franchise.
Oh, my God.
It should have, but it didn't.
The fact, I'm not going to lie to you, the fact that this one hasn't completely murdered this franchise yet is honestly shocking. The fact that they're somehow limping along at all, like even remotely, is shocking.
I actually agree. The mere fact that they made the playoffs last year blows my mind. I was expecting them to do more of what they did this year. Almost every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll start there. Everybody kind of laugh at the Browns. Sorry, Browns fans. All three of you.
Dude, they have to draft a QB, right? They have to.
I would think so. They have, what, the number 2 overall pick?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys at the very top, and I think you have to draft a QB if you're the Browns. I think both the Titans and the Browns are drafting QBs.
The Titans one is such a weird one because, like, think about it, right? Like, you 2 years ago draft Will Levis
in the second round,
and then a year or two prior to that you drafted Malik Willis also in the second round, I believe.
And now no, I think he was later. I want to say he was
later?
Third.
Okay.
Third or fourth.
It just feels weird.
It does. But now they have the first overall pick, and look,
it just feels like they keep getting QBs, bringing them in, ruining them, selling them off to somebody else who somehow uses them better.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen to Will, because I feel like Will Levis has a lot of talent. He just needs somebody to literally teach him. Quite literally, I think that's what it is.
So, if I'm going to be honest, they're probably going to draft Shedeur Sanders.
They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. To me, they should draft Cam Ward. But
I don't even think they should do that either, because either one, it's going to get ruined here, I think.
Well, here's the thing. Shedeur, if they draft Shedeur, due to the connections to his father, has a much better chance of getting coaching outside of Tennessee and becoming a better quarterback because he can get in touch with big-time quarterbacks who can coaches who can help him grow.
Potentially, yeah.
That's going to be if he wants to. So there's that as well. Also, he's mobile, and with the state of Tennessee's offensive line, I think that helps.
Yeah, I guess.
But
I don't know.
Anyway,
man.
That's going to be for another podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about two people that no longer have jobs, shall we?
Sure, I guess. I mean, we correctly predicted them. Like, one of them we did.
One of them we did. The other one we didn't. Although the coach got fired and now he's finally out too. Tom Telesco is no longer the general manager in Vegas. He got fired a couple of days after Pierce got shown the deal.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, even though we didn't directly predict it, it wasn't exactly surprising.
No, that was not surprised. Like, I think I was more surprised that he didn't get shown the door along with Pierce.
Right away,
yeah. And then Mike McCarthy is no longer the head coach in Dallas.
That one I just find so funny because they went out of their way to block him from interviewing with the Bears just to not resign him. Like,
and I'm not sure what the hell that was. Like, there's a part of me that
says...
Well, there's a part of me that says that what it is, and Jerry didn't want to tip his hand.
I assume Jerry was trying to re-sign him, but obviously not for the price that Mike wanted. I don't know.
No, I don't think he was trying to re-sign him. I think he was deliberately lowballing Mike so that Mike wouldn't re-sign, and Jerry didn't want to tip his hand. That's what he was doing. But he also knew that if he brought McCarthy back, Cowboys fans might riot.
Yeah.
So... But because he as a person likes McCarthy, he didn't want to outright fire him. He wanted to say, okay, I'm going to lowball him, and then we're just going to be able to say we couldn't come to an agreement. That's literally what I think happened.
Maybe, but then why block him from interviewing with the Bears at all?
Because he didn't want to tip his hand. Because if you don't do that, then you tip your hand that that's what you're doing.
I don't know, man. Not necessarily. That
Jerry's nuts, okay?
That just feels like being petty more than anything else, to be honest with you. Like, that to me smells of being petty.
Yes, but what is Jerry Jones?
Well, yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I don't agree with what you're saying. I feel like there's more pettiness involved somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now, we should probably talk about somebody who got hired. Which we also correctly predicted. The Patriots went out and got their man. Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is the new head coach for the New England Patriots.
Shocking.
Like,
dude, I called that shit right away. I immediately smelled the blood in the water. I was like, dude, if they actually do fire Gerard Mayo, they're going for Mike Vrabel.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
I was amazed they didn't do it last year, but apparently they did have it in Mayo's contract that he was going to be the next head coach. So they had to honor that. And I think
I love how they honored it, then fired him and went, all right, Mike, it's your turn.
I honestly think they probably told Mike, don't take a job, we've got you next year.
Maybe. That's still kind of scummy for Mayo, but at the same time,
I get it, but I don't get it.
If you're not ready to be a head coach, you shouldn't have that in your contract either. So,
well, I feel like they thought maybe Bill was going to stick around another couple of years, but I don't think the Crafts thought that without Brady, Belichick was going to tank that hard.
Maybe I don't know. Hard to say. It's just kind of weird.
Sticking with football news, the college football championship game is now decided. We know who's going to play. Notre Dame did beat Penn State, and the Ohio State University beat University of Texas. So we will have Notre Dame versus the Ohio State University.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Screw Ohio State. I don't like them at all. I've always hated Ohio State.
I hate to be that guy, but I think they're going to win.
Maybe. I kind of hope Notre Dame does, but Ohio State has just been
Dude, they're a juggernaut.
Yeah, they've been, ever since their loss to Michigan, they've been on fire to prove that that they're not, a bad team.
Yeah.
They've been fucking buzzsaw.
Yep.
So, like, Notre Dame's going to run into that, and we're going to see how they deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
So far, no one's dealt very well, so I don't anticipate much difference.
As of my last check, the Great Eight, Alexander Ovechkin, is currently 22 goals shy of breaking the Great One's record, Wayne Gretzky's record for goals in a career.
Still a little bit to go.
He could do it this season.
Could.
So, that's the news that I've got. Do you got anything else that I missed?
Not that I can think of.
The only other thing I can think of is that
I think if there was anything else that happened, like if there's any other hirings or anything that happened.
Not that I can think of. Bill hired another couple of people at UNC.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly double check here since I already have it opened here. Some coordinators, not a big deal.
Yeah. The only other thing that I can really think of off the top of my head is
looks like that was pretty much it actually.
Coming up very soon, they're going to announce who made the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
And so they've got the list.
Yeah, that one I don't have much. No, I have not much to say on that one. Unfortunately, I don't follow enough baseball to be able to have much of an opinion on.
To me, there's only one guy that's a sure first ballot on this guy's getting in. It's probably a name that as soon as you hear it, you're gonna go, "Oh yeah, well that one." And it's a guy who only needs one name. Ichiro. Ichiro Suzuki, the Hit King.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. You're tired.
Not even just that. I just don't follow enough baseball.
Yeah, like, Ichiro's probably getting in, and
slightly familiar, but not well enough.
Yeah, well, he never played for the Twins, so.
Well, I don't even know a lot of Twins players. I know more. To be fair, I do know more Twins players, but I don't.
I was gonna say the one that's on there that was a Twin and also played in a few other places is Torrey Hunter.
I was gonna say, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, like, it's either Joe Mauer or Torrey Hunter, because those are the two that I know a lot.
Torrey Hunter. That's one that you that you may go, oh, I know that name. I don't know if he's gonna make it in this round. He'll probably make it in eventually.
He should.
But Ichiro Suzuki, he'll definitely make it in. But yeah, outside of that, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I was looking and I didn't see anything else that popped out.
The only other things that people are talking about is apparently something that's been predicted for a while. If McCarthy got the axe, has started to generate stuff. I don't know if it goes anywhere, and that is apparently Jerry and Dion have begun talking. Again, I don't think it goes. I don't think so either, but. I would be remiss if I didn't actually say anything about it.
From everything I've heard, and what people made a lot of like speculations that anyone that gets Shedeur will get Dion kind of thing. Like it's the sweepstakes, right? I don't believe that for a second. Mostly just because from everything I've heard and everything I've seen. It honestly sounds like Dion wants to stay at least one more year at Colorado. He doesn't sound like he has any desire.
Yeah, it sounds like he's already implemented a bunch of new rules and all sorts of stuff.
Sounds like he's happy.
Yeah. I don't know that he wants to go anywhere else. And
does that mean that he has no desire to eventually go? I mean, I'm sure eventually he will go. But it's definitely not going to be this upcoming season.
No, it's not. I don't think so either. All right. With that having been said,
I would say getting Bill to renege on his job to go to the Cowboys is more likely to happen, and I still don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either because I don't think Bill has any desire to go to the Cowboys. If he's going to renege on his job, he's going to go to the Raiders, which may be why
I also don't think will happen.
Yeah, apparently he and Brady have been having talks, but
they've had talks, but it's.
I don't think it's going to happen either.
Probably not this year. it might happen whenever Bill ends his job at UNC, depending on what happens with the Raiders and whoever they end up getting.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, like, I'm going to be honest with you, if they pick up a complete no-name out of nowhere, then you know they're taking a swing in the dark that either this is going to be a huge hit and it won't matter, or he'll fail out in 2 to 3 years and they can go pick up Bill.
Yep.
I'm just saying. Like, if they pick up a random nobody, that's what they're doing.
Yep. All right. Let's talk Wildcard Weekend.
Herbie.
I don't really want to, but let's do this.
No! I've been distracting you this entire time for the last hour and a half to not do this. I've been even avoiding all of Tom's videos. I haven't watched a single one of them because I'm so depressed about this entire thing.
The only ones I've watched.
It was awful.
The only ones I've watched are the Packers one, because I like seeing Packers fans get their feelings hurt. And the Commanders-Buccaneers ones, because that was an actual fun game.
I'm not going to lie to you, I watched a little bit of all of them, and some of them made me depressed and fall asleep.
All right, so let's do this real quick. Chargers at Texans.
Dude, I literally wrote down in my notebook for this game, like, at the first quarter, I was like, this is a good start for the Chargers. Because at the start, they literally came out with 2 field goals back-to-back. I was thinking, like, that's a great start. It looked like they could have gotten touchdowns, but I was like, this is a great start for the Chargers. And then everything fell apart after that.
Then they charged.
Quite literally everything. I have not seen a team just combust so hard since the last year's Chargers.
Not last year. Year before last.
Year before. Sorry, yes, against
where
the
they had
Jacksonville.
like
Yes,
4 interceptions.
that's what I was
half,
referencing. That's what I was referencing.
And then exploded.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Like, it was atrocious. Now, I'll be fair here. Justin did have 4 picks, but
some of them were because he was trying to play hero ball from behind.
Literally 3 of them. Hold on, I'm gonna double check this. I'm pretty sure 3 of them came and passed either in the third quarter or passed.
I believe you're right.
So 1 was at the very end of the third quarter. And 2 more were in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
So at that point, he was playing hero ball, just trying to do something.
Mm-hmm. The only receiver that showed up to play was Lad McConkey, who had 198 yards, I believe.
197 according to mine, but still.
Either way, I don't care.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown.
Ridiculous.
He played his butt off.
Yeah, he really did.
And nobody else.
I'll give credit to the Texans defense. Well,
they played incredibly good football.
I was gonna say, while the Chargers, of course, were playing kind of hero football at the end, it still takes a good defense to capitalize on those mistakes and close out football games. And that's what they did. I will
say that the Texans avoided making some of the mistakes that have plagued them in recent weeks.
They did. Their offense still didn't play particularly well for my liking. Nico Collins did still have a good, decent game.
Nico had a decent game.
Joe Mixon ran pretty well.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, CJ Stroud was still kind of a tame performance from him. Put it that way. To put it mildly, like, he was kind of a tame performance.
Yeah, and the game was a little boring by the end.
Yeah. It kind of was, especially once we got into halftime, it was 6-10, and then you're coming out thinking, well, the Chargers have a chance. They could easily find a way to turn this around. It's halftime, right? They're gonna obviously make some adjustments, and then for the Texans to come out and immediately get another touchdown and a field goal with no answer from the Chargers at all. Like, at that point, that's when I was watching the game and I was like, this game is done. I'm gonna go do something else for a while. Like, I just even though the Chargers did score 6 more points later on in the fourth quarter, I knew it didn't matter. It was 32-12,
and the reason they scored that was a touchdown, I think, and that was the Lad McConkey thing, and then
they tried getting that 2 points.
The extra was it 2 points or was it the extra point was blocked?
Oh, did they get?
and then the Texans returned it for 2 points.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
It's so dumb.
That's right. That was this game. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was this game.
Yeah. So, needless to say, it was a cluster. Dude, the amount of turnovers the Chargers had, too, was so ridiculous. Because I'm pretty sure not only did Justin have the 4 interceptions, but I'm fairly positive there was at least 1 or 2 fumbles as well by the Chargers. Hold on, I'm going to double check.
Go ahead.
I am fairly positive here.
That would not surprise me if there were some. I do believe they also did pick off C.J. Stroud at some point. The Chargers did, which is probably one of the only good defensive plays they made. Their defense has been pretty good all year.
Leonard picked off C.J. Stroud.
Yeah. And so for me, like, their defense has been good pretty much all year. One of the top defenses in the NFL. And then they just shit the bed horribly against the Texans. For whatever reason, they just chargered it all up.
Yet Joe Mixon fumbled and lost the ball, and John Mechie fumbled and lost the ball.
For the Texans, yeah.
For the Texans, yeah.
Yeah.
So whereas the Texans were able to defensively get interceptions,
the Chargers were getting fumbles,
Chargers were able
but
to get
then they
fumbles.
were turning the ball
they
back
weren't able
over.
to convert.
Yeah, they weren't able to convert those. That's really where the difference was.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know that we need to spend any more time on this. The Texans win 32-12. And that's the game. Moving along, Steelers at Ravens. We did both pick the Ravens. The Ravens did win 28-14.
Dude, this is a game I quite literally did the same thing. Halftime, turned it off.
Yeah,
I knew who was going to win at halftime.
But, and that, like, the only thing that you missed was the 44-yard run by Derrick Henry.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, this was a Derrick Henry game. Lamar played very well. I'm not gonna diss Lamar, but this was a Derrick Henry game, and everybody could see it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a Derrick Henry game. Lamar played pretty well, and that's not even to disrupt the Steelers, because honestly, like, Russell Wilson didn't play bad. I mean, 20 of 29 for 270 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Not bad.
Russell Wilson played fine. The Steelers defense
Pickens played all right. I believe last I had seen him, he had like 54 yards and a touchdown or something.
He was 5 for 87 and a touchdown.
Yeah. He wound up with 87 yards and a touchdown. That's
so the
not
two biggest
horrible.
problems. The 2 biggest problems the Pittsburgh Steelers ran into is their entire rushing offense consisted of 11 attempts for 29 yards.
Yep. And then their defense couldn't
stop. And then their defense just couldn't stop. There was no interceptions, no fumbles.
Did they even have a sack?
1 sack.
One. That's not going to get it done against somebody like Lamar and with Derrick Henry.
It just isn't. Like, most cases, that's not bad, but against top teams, that's not going to
get it done. And that's exactly what killed them. It was. Now, I don't know if they bring Russ back, but
honestly, he's played well enough where I could see him getting a small contract. It wouldn't be anything big, but I could see a small contract if they want to.
I would not mind if they did that. There's worse things you could do. He played well enough.
He's played well enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know that we need to talk a whole lot about that game, because everybody was worried about what are the Ravens going to do without Brandon Flowers? Without Flowers. I know, or Zay Flowers, pardon. What are they going to do without Zay Flowers? I know exactly what they're going to do.
That's right, Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. That's exactly what they did, too. They just rode Derrick Henry to victory. And Flowers is supposed to be back this week, so good luck, Bills.
Pretty much.
Speaking of the Bills, do we want to just move on?
Oh my God! I feel like I'm going to say this a lot, but talk about another game that about halftime I pretty much turned off the TV.
Yep, Broncos at Bills. We both picked the Bills, and 31-7. 31-7 later, they won. The Broncos' opening drive was amazing.
It was great,
and then everything went downhill.
Everything went downhill, and I was going to say that, like, even though I'm going to change my wording a little bit, it wasn't quite halftime. Halftime ended 7-10. The Bills came back, though, into the third quarter to score 11 unanswered points, and then another 10 unanswered points. So technically, it was a little after the halfway point of the game that I technically clocked out. Because at that point, I was still thinking, like, maybe the Broncos can do something. But the fact that they did absolutely nothing for an entire quarter made me wary of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I was hoping maybe halftime they would make some adjustments or something. But honestly, the team that made the adjustments was the Bills because they played... Because the Bills, quite frankly, did not play that well in the first half.
They went out in the first half. The first drive, they settled for a field goal. Broncos went right down the field and scored their touchdown. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
This could be interesting, yeah.
Then, I think it was right before halftime that the Bills finally scored their touchdown. And I was
it was.
Because up until then, it was just a boring defensive back and forth game. And I was like, this is just, wow, this is horrible. And then after halftime, I think I even commented how, I think I even commented to you how, this does not feel like a Josh Allen MVP game, at all. This feels like... And then he came out in the second half and went, okay, fine, let me show you why.
Yeah, Jesus. The second half was...
It has come out that for close to half the season now, Bo Nix has been playing with a broken back. Sort of.
Of course.
Sort of. He broke the transverse processes off of two of the discs, or off of two of the vertebrae in his back. I think he said against the Raiders. Those are those little pieces that stick out. I'm telling the viewers.
Oh, gotcha.
However many we have. Those are the little pieces that stick out off the vertebrae. The two people that are going to watch this. Those are the little pieces that stick out off the vertebrae. Stone Cold Steve Austin suffered a similar injury at one point and didn't wrestle for a while. It's not impossible to play with. Hockey guys would play with that kind of crap all the time. But it's definitely painful. And for him to go out there and run around the way he was and take the hits he did with that problem just tells me how much of a beast that dude is. And I hope it doesn't take too many years off his career.
I was going to say, I'm more worried about the fact that he's going to properly heal up by the time next season rolls around.
Yeah, it's only going to take him a month or two to heal.
A month or two?
Yeah, they don't take that long, especially with new
I was just worried about if he was doing permanent damage by not letting it heal up.
Not entirely. There's some damage for that, but it's not as bad as it could be. He didn't crack the actual vertebrae, just the processes. Gotcha. So it's painful, but it's hard to make worse.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough.
But in the end, the Bills do take this one 31-7.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen was a monster. And in the end, they could not find a way to slow down Josh Allen. And Cook. Oh, my God. Those two they finally got loose, and what happened.
Yep.
Then we had the Packers at the Eagles, one of the games we split on. You said Packers, I said Eagles. Guess who took the trophy there? I love drinking Packer tears.
Dude. Jordan Love played like ass.
He absolutely did. Three interceptions, Jordan.
Was it 3? I thought it was 4. Is it 3?
I think it was 3.
Yep, you're right. 3. My bad.
Yep.
Still,
matter.
That's still not good.
That's still not good. They played like absolute butt. Eagles win 22-10. Saquon did not score a touchdown. And in fact,
no, but he still had a decent amount of yards.
Like 125.
I think it was somewhere around there. I think it was 120 something.
100 plus.
119.
And in fact, at the end of the game, it looked like he was going to get loose and go for a touchdown, and instead he slid down.
Yep. Josh Jacobs scored a touchdown, though.
He did, and did you see it? I'm going to be honest. He bounced off
the one where he was bouncing off a bunch of people?
Yeah. And I was just like, all right. That was fun to watch.
Quite literally the pinball at a pinball machine.
It was just fun to watch. Yeah. Look, they weren't going to win that, but that touchdown was fun to watch.
That was a fun touchdown.
But yeah, the Eagles do win that 22-10. Hurts played a decent game. Their defense played incredibly well. And they didn't have to rely on Saquon for everything. And
surprisingly not, even though he clearly showed that he could have done more if you wanted him to, but he's like, oh, I guess I don't have to.
Yeah. And here's the fun one for you. The book that A.J. Brown was reading on the sidelines became the #1 bestseller on Amazon Books.
Why?
I don't know. Because
What book even was it?
I don't even remember. It was some sort, but it's some sort of one of those like books written by like a psychiatrist or a doctor or whatever.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. One of those,
Apparent,
almost basically a self-help book, but not really a self-help, but kind of a self-help book.
yeah, about unlocking your inner potential and
The
stuff
inner
like that.
potential, yeah, I know exactly. I know
Stuff
the
like
exact type of books you're talking about.
Yeah,
I have delved into one or two on my own occasion, just out of curiosity,
yeah.
and I can tell you full well what I think about them, but I will keep them to myself.
I'm of a George Carlin mindset, which is if you're looking for self help, why would you read a book written by somebody else? That's not self help. That's help.
There's a certain amount of degree to that, and I won't lie, that's true. But at the same time, I won't lie that there are certain things that can help, but I think most of the people that write these books and stuff take small nuggets of good wisdom or what or wise things to help people with, and then blow them into these giant
Yes.
help
If
seminars that are not real.
if
Like,
you read one of these books and it's like 13 steps to a better you, realize that they're not as big as you think they are, and that while they can help, it's not
yeah.
going to be in the amount that people say that it's going to help.
Like I'll be honest. One of them always makes me laugh because it's in so many of them, and it's not. It doesn't make me laugh because it's not helpful. It's because people know it. You don't need to pay for somebody to tell you it. The very first one is clean your room.
Mm-hmm.
Just clean your room. You don't have to clean the whole house. Just pick a room, clean it.
Or
Guess what?
if that feels too big, pick like your desk. Just clean the area. Clean your desk.
Like an area
around it. Just clean it up.
You'll not only will you feel better that you completed a task, but you'll feel more in control of the space you have now cleaned.
100%.
You'll feel like you were completing something more than what you're just currently doing.
Go for a walk.
So the more you do, the more stuff you do like that, the better you feel. Well, no shit. I shouldn't have had to buy a book to tell me that because we all should know this. Some people, though, I will admit, do need reminders once in a while, and that's fair, and I get that, and that's why I'm not going to shit super hard on the self-help books, because there are some people that legitimately do need just a reminder once in a while, a kick in the ass, so to speak, right? And I get that, but, like, I think too many people hold these people up to a really high standard that they really shouldn't.
Yeah. The thing that helps me most in life that I've implemented now that I'm starting to work with is what's called an OODA loop. It's OODA, OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act. And you can do that with all phases of your life. Where you can do it in increments. You can do it in your daily. Most people do it subconsciously in a daily routine. But if you're more aware of it, you can direct it, and then you can do it as look back at your day. How did your day go? Observe it. Orient yourself to the problem. All right, how did my day go? Decide on, all right, so did the day go how I wanted? If not, what can I do tomorrow to make it better? Then you can act upon that. And you can build it into weeks or months or however long you want to so that you can kind of get the results you're looking for. Anyway, let's move on to the interesting game.
I don't want to.
Commanders and Buccaneers. This one was actually a fun game.
It was to a degree. That's fair.
Now, we split on this one, too. You picked the Commanders. I picked the Buccaneers.
Hell yeah.
And you won by a doink.
I did. I won by a goddamn doink. I'll take that doink all day long.
You know what, though? I'm not even mad. That game was fun to watch. It was a blast and a half. It was fun watching Jaden do Jaden things. And then at the end of the game, the bank was open.
I think we can all agree that there's no question this was easily the best game of the wild card weekend. Like, not even close. Most of the games were boring. This one was actually like good throughout.
This was good throughout. There weren't a lot of mistakes by either team. They both played really hard and left everything on the field. Levante David did get rolled up on right before the field goal.
Yeah.
However, I looked and it doesn't appear to have been a major injury.
No, I can't. I couldn't find any injury designation of any
Neither
kind.
could I. So it looks like he could be back again next year if he wants to be.
Probably, yeah.
And so I think what killed the Bucks, if I'm going to be straight honest, is the lack they had of secondary support, especially over the middle of the field. They just got back
I can see it.
Antoine Winfield Jr. And he definitely, you could tell he definitely wasn't 100%, just like Marshawn Lattimore didn't act like 100%. I will say I am surprised that there was not more fireworks between Lattimore and Evans, considering their history.
True.
I expected there to be a little more there, but it was really pretty tame. And I think it's because both players knew they could not afford fireworks from either of them, and they knew it because they were both trying to. This wasn't some in-season game that overall could end up being slightly meaningless. This was a playoff game, win or go home. So the stakes are a little different here. Commanders do win 23-20. It was a really, really fun game to watch. And Jaden Daniels is an absolute monster. And watching him play for the rest of his career is going to be so much fun.
Listen, the only thing I'm doing is I'm doing the whole, like, crossing my fingers, being like, please, because it's new ownership, these guys aren't cursed. We're not going to get the Washington curse. He's not going to all of a sudden get hurt in his second or third fucking year, and that's all we'll ever see. Because, my God, this guy is insane.
Insanely good. I have not yet seen a rookie quarterback play in the playoffs at the level he's playing. It's nuts. And
again, like, with a team that, like, as much as, like, we wanted to, point out how, like, nobody really talked about the Vikings being potentially good or whatever.
Nobody gave the Commanders a chance.
Nobody really gave the Commanders anything outside of, like, they might be a fun, poppy offense, and that's about it. They're legitimately, like, we're at the point now where can we pretend that they're not contenders anymore at this point? Like, they just are.
I don't think we can.
They're contenders. They just are.
Absolutely,
they just are.
Absolutely, they are.
I don't know how. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of funny. It's where you look at the parts individually and you go, they're good parts. They're not bad, but they're not great. You wouldn't call them Super Bowl winning parts typically, but you put them together and the sum of the parts is greater than the you see what I'm saying?
You're gonna be laughing at me. You're gonna laugh at me. You know what that kind of reminds me of? The Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams from back in not the one they just won.
You're talking about the old one,
the one with Kurt Warner, where everybody went, "This is gonna suck," and then they went out and scored more points than anybody else in fucking history. And you just
the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, the greatest show on turf. Rams. That first year and that second year, like that first year especially, like nobody saw that. You could look at it and go, some of these parts are okay, but they're all gonna get sold off at the trade deadline. They're not gonna have.
There's no way they're gonna have.
There's no way they're gonna have. Yeah, they're gonna get parted out, and this is just gonna suck because they had hoped that Trent Green was gonna be their quarterback, and he got submarine,
and he got injured.
Blew out his knee, and they brought in an arena football quarterback, bag boy.
Yeah.
And he just lit the league on fire. And now he's a Hall of Famer.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so like this is.
By the way, almost did it a second time when he went to the Cardinals for that first year to the Cardinals that he went.
But this
it would have been hilarious if he would have did it that second time. That would have been hilarious.
This reminds me of that though, just because this is a bunch of pieces that like individually, some of them are okay, some of them are halfway decent, but like you don't expect them all to be good. And then, but
all together they're
as
like
a team,
somehow lift each other up.
Yeah, somehow this is a machine that's just. If they're within 3 at the end, within the fourth quarter with a minute and something to go,
even within 7.
Yeah, you know that either 1 they're tying it or 2 they're winning it. If they have the ball last, you're toast.
Dude, I was gonna say that's the funny thing is I was talking about that too at the very end. I was like, oh, Tampa left enough time for Washington. Like
Yeah.
this game's not over.
Yeah.
This
Oh no,
game's not over.
it was still they had over 2 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, this game's not over. This Tampa gave him way too much time.
Tampa's giving them
This
way too
game's
much
over.
time. It's a long
Washington's gonna
field,
seal
but
it.
they have like 2 minute and 2 I think it was like 2 minutes and 37 or 2:40 or something that they had.
I don't know. Let me double check.
See how long see how much they had on that last drive.
Should be able to. Since I already have it pulled up here, we'll fill out the quota.
How long did they have on that drive?
When did they get the ball here? They actually had a decent amount of time.
Like
it was 4 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yep. But I watched them slowly start to.
But they started to They eked a lot of time off that clock.
They milked the clock. A lot of runs, a lot of little.
Literally, they went from 4:40 to, in 2 plays, 4 minutes. So they eked 40 seconds off in 2 plays.
Yeah. They were just
Then they did another pass that eked off another 40 seconds because they went down to 3:20. Then they did another run for no gain that eked it down to 2:33. Yep. Like they just were just like burning clock.
Yeah, they just started burning the clock. And then on a 4th down play, Jaden Daniels got free, dove, kept the ball in bounds, and then they did a little play kind of where they went kind of up the middle a little bit just to figure out, or they went to the left hash, and then Daniel slid down, and that set their kicker up for the doink. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Look, Detroit, you got to play them. Good luck. Talk about that in a minute. And then we come to the disappointing game of the week. Monday Night Football, Vikings at Rams. Although it was Vikings at neutral site against the Rams. Due to the fires, they played in Arizona. Didn't matter. Vikings lose 27-9, which interestingly is the same amount of sacks that Sam Darnold took. Now,
this was a game that I also turned off about halftime, except for I didn't, but my brain was off.
Yeah, I watched it all the way through, but I really wasn't watching. So here I'm going to say the honest thing. This was not Sam Darnold's fault.
No. He did not play incredibly well either, mind you, but our offense, specifically our offensive line and some of the play calling was atrocious.
I agree, and here's what I'll say. Of the 9 sacks, I put 6 of them squarely on the offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them are on Darnold himself for holding the ball too long. And one of them is kind of can be spread out between both the line and Darnold. Like, you're both kind of to blame for this one. Like, Darnold should have gotten rid of it, but also the line should have been better. So they were pulling a lot of twists. And the line could not handle it, especially after Brian O'Neill went out at tackle. He got concussed, went out. I don't think he came back in. We were obviously already out there, so he's been out most of the season. But our interior just got eaten alive by the way the Rams defense.
In a way that they haven't before either. For whatever reason, that style of defense just matches up stylistically, unfortunately, well against our offense. Because I was going to say, the one thing that I also want people to remember is that even though this looked like a trubbing, which it kind of was, don't forget that in all of the games we played this season, only 2 teams beat us. Only 2 teams. We lost 4 games, but only 2 teams beat us. And they beat us twice.
I was going to say, yeah. And only 2 of those games, and really only 1 was bad.
Yeah. 1 was really bad.
One was really bad, and that was this one. But
I don't know that last week. Honestly, that one that Sam played against the Lions, he looked shaked. He looked like he was, in comparison to this game. I think the Lions game. I think he was.
He was a lot more shaken than he was in this game.
I think he was shaken.
He played a lot better in this game, but there were still some throws that he should have made that he missed.
Yes.
There was one where he got sacked, and they were trying to get out so the Rams were playing a very aggressive man-to-man defense with a lot of twists for the defensive front. So the Vikings eventually tried to counter it by running some out-and-ups, and they had Addison on an out-and-up that absolutely beat the cornerback, and Darnold couldn't pull the trigger. That's one of the ones that was on him. Absolutely. That should have been a touchdown and not a sack.
I'll also say I do genuinely believe that at this point, based upon last year and now this year too, I think Sean McVay just has an edge over KOC. Like he just has something he knows stylistically, right?
I feel like it's a thing where like
I taught you everything. I taught you everything you know,
but not everything I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's exactly what that is.
It feels like he still has a couple tricks that he still likes to kind of shove down,
100%.
and unfortunately, it ends up screwing us every single time. Because I was gonna say if last year, I'm pretty sure we played him, we also lost too.
I believe so. Yes.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason.
So here's what I think is probably, and unfortunately for Darnold, I do believe that he is halfway unfairly going to take the brunt of the blame.
Oh, yeah.
He's lost. And he's probably not going to get renewed with the Vikings.
Probably not. And if he does, it will be at a reduced contract, like I've said, for like
and it'll be another
1
1 year. It'll be another 1 year
Either
deal.
one or 2 year at most, yeah.
Yeah. But I honestly think he's going to hit the free agent market, and somebody will pay him decent money.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere.
He can definitely be a starter. And while he has shown that maybe he has potential issues in high level games, and I mean high level, we're talking like he didn't get rattled until the last 2 games, so we're talking very high level. So regular season, he's going to cook just fine. And even then, the Rams game, he did not seem that rattled. So he definitely showed he could be at least regular season starter, no problems.
Yes, 100%.
With potential of being able to do something in playoffs.
Yeah, and I think there are certain teams that he would do very well with. You're gonna laugh, the Browns.
I was about to say the same thing. I was gonna say, like, honestly, I was gonna say the exact same thing. I was gonna say you're gonna laugh, but I think actually the Browns would be an interesting choice.
They have,
but I think they're gonna draft. I think they're gonna draft a QB.
They might, but if you wanted,
if they're smart, they could draft and then pick a bridge. Yep.
Or even if you didn't like the QBs in this draft and you're trying to wait for someone else or do something else, you could take one of those beastly wide receivers at the first. Nobody would blink if you grabbed Hunter.
You want a fun one?
Go ahead.
You want a fun one? 49ers decide not to sign Brock Purdy and bring back Sam Darnold.
That wouldn't be horrible.
It honestly would not be bad. Kyle Shanahan already knows him, and Sam proved that he can do it definitely in the system.
That's not bad. And then if you trade off McCaffrey,
and he's less injury prone, which he's already shown too. And like you said, you move off McCaffrey. Fun. Ooh, that could be a good one. Actually,
that would be good. But anyway, yes, the Vikings did lose 27-9, win home. All right.
That hurt.
Black screen.
Pain. Lots of pain. That's what I feel right now.
While you're looking at the scores for a little bit here, I don't know if I'm going to leave them up as long as normal because I think I can fit them all on one page this time.
Probably,
having to do 2 pages. So you'll probably only see these for about half the time. Eventually.
Oh, by the way, did you do a top 10? Or did you do a top 8?
Of what?
For the teams?
10. I did 10. If you want me to cut,
we didn't have to. I was gonna say we didn't have 10 teams, so I only did a top 8.
We had 10 teams.
We don't currently have 10 teams.
Not left. No.
That's what I'm saying. I went based on what we had left.
I did 10 overall. Just.
Oh. See, I didn't do that, but I can add 2 more if you want me to.
If you want to do a top 8, we'll do a top 8. If you want to do a top 10, we'll do a top 10.
You can do the full 10. I'm just going to do the 8 because
All right, that's fair. I'll
yeah.
tell you the 2 teams that, like, because they lost, but they didn't. That one of them was pretty bad, but they've been on my list for so long that they're gonna stay on it, even though they're hanging on by fingernails. And the other one barely lost, so they played well enough to still be on the list.
You're putting the Bucks on there. They should not be on that list. God damn it!
They are, because everybody else got fucking blown out.
They should not be on that list.
I can't think of another team that would be better than them right now.
Who's the other? Well, you're not. I wouldn't even be doing a top 10. They should be on the list. But
anyway,
who's the other one there? Who's the other one though?
You know who the other one is.
The other one is the other one the Vikings?
It is. It is.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't put them on there just because, like,
Well, they wouldn't make a top 8.
How bad that blowout was.
Yeah, but they wouldn't make a top 8. But
no.
Because they were like 4th overall on my list, they're not going to slide all the way out.
Yeah.
And they made the playoffs. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk showers first.
We can certainly do that. Hold on, let me grab my book and make sure I remember which list is which. Because I obviously have all of them up, but I don't label them.
I label mine. I label mine and I keep them on my phone. I have a notepad app on my phone.
I like to write it down because otherwise I just will forget that I do it on my phone because I'll start playing on my phone, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
So,
no, I get that, but like for me, like I'll do it while I'm out working or something, and it's just something.
See, if I have a physical thing, I'm more likely
to do to pass the time.
Yeah. See, when I start writing, I just do it all at one go.
Yeah, I got you.
And then
I got you. But this way, I get a chance to think about things too.
Yeah, I guess. I like to think until the very last moment, as you've noticed.
Yeah, I do. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, here we go.
You want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, I can start if you want.
Go ahead. I'm sure
Chargers offense. All of the Chargers offense. Just hit the showers.
Okay, I'm going to single out one person. Justin Herbert hit the showers.
Yeah. I couldn't do it just because 3 of those interceptions were like end game.
I get it.
And the rest of the offense up until that point was just
it
was mostly trash.
Yeah, but still,
outside
Justin
of one
Herbert,
player,
that's not
trash.
what you needed.
Number 2, all of Denver. All of Denver's just hit the showers.
I have Denver on here too, but not the team. I'm singling out one area. Broncos running backs. That was abysmal.
Fair. Yeah, that was pretty bad too.
It was abysmal.
That's pretty bad. And I'm gonna do it too. Again, I'm not gonna single out a single individual because I think there's plenty to blame. The Vikings offense. Vikings offense played abysmally.
Yeah.
Specifically, their offensive line, as we talked about, like I
already had that one, so I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to throw somebody else under the bus, and that's going to be Jordan Love. Hit the showers. What was that?
That was horrific too.
That was bad.
People were talking about and being like, "Remember that other time in the playoffs where he was like really good again? Oh, and he's going to be really great, dude." Oof.
Dude, you were so bad your QB coach retired.
I was going to say, the Sam Darnold oof of the Vikings hurts. But if you're a Packers fan, that Jordan Love game had to be that had to hurt on the inside real bad.
Infernos?
Sure.
I'll start. And I'll start with one that's... So I'll have to explain this one. And it's not... So... Mike Vrabel, first circle. Now, this is not because I think you're going to get fired, and this isn't because I think you're bad, but this is because I think the fans are ready for you to do something and make this franchise good again, and there's going to be all this pressure on you.
Make this franchise good again.
MFGA, yes. So, look. There's going to be a lot of pressure on you, so your seat's a little warm, not because you're going to get fired, but because of the expectations.
I can understand it, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with the choice. Like, I feel like there's other choices you could put here that would have been similar and better. Well, I would argue Kevin Stefanski you could put on this list, even though it feels like a patsy move. We've already discussed it. Like, he's technically hot just because of the situation. Same thing with.
Find a few other things besides.
I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing for Zach Taylor with the Bengals. Like, not making playoffs is a big oof for that team, to be honest. That's a pretty big oof for that team.
Yeah, they already sacrificed the defensive coordinator of that, though.
Again, you get my point, though. Yep. Like, it just... or the coach for the Seahawks, you could argue, like, has, like, what the fuck did he do half the season? What happened?
All right, anyway.
I don't know. I just feel like there's other choices. But I hear you out. I just don't necessarily agree.
That's fine.
In my third circle, I have Mike Tomlin because, quite frankly, I am sick and tired of these 500 seasons where you go into the playoffs barely by the skin of your goddamn teeth and get one and done and go home and call it a fucking day. Like,
I mean, he has an early tea time.
Dude, for real. It's every season for like the last 6 seasons have been that it feels like. It's getting beyond ridiculous. I love you, Mike. It's time to go. Please leave. You have permanently cursed the Steelers at this point. It feels like to being a 500 team. Like, they'll never be worse or better.
All right. Matt LaFleur.
Ooh,
you're in my fourth. Your chair is starting to get toasty. Why? Because you've had a lot of success. And now all of a sudden you're doing okay in the regular season, and then you like this year you absolutely blew it big time in the playoffs. You had some good runs. You had some good success. Jordan Love hasn't always looked great. Brandon Jacobs has saved your butt so many times this season.
Really has.
And now your QB coach that has worked with both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers is gone. We're going to see how you do next year. But I don't know if it's going to go well.
Only one way to find out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My second choice in my 10th circle, because you know me, Jerry fucking Jones. Sir, do you know what you're doing? I don't think you know what you're doing, which is why you're here. Enjoy your stay.
I also have old Jerry in here, and he's in the 7th circle, not the 10th.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
Well, hold on. The reason I put him in the 7th is because he did get rid of Mike McCarthy. That brought him up 3.
I got rid of him because of the shenanigans around the whole situation.
I don't give a shit about that. That's just Jerry to me.
Maybe
it's also because
I refuse to let Jerry play his fucking senile games no more.
Well, maybe it's because I live in Texas and I'm just used to hearing this so often, so I'm inured to it a little bit.
I swear to God, if I hear even the smallest hint of a Cowboys fan telling me it's going to be our year next year, I am going to shit a brick.
Micah Parsons already said it.
Dude. He's not a fan, though. It doesn't count. I did say fan.
Dude,
I did say fan.
You know it's going to happen, though, immediately.
Dude.
Just watch Scooter. Scooter will do it already for you.
Swear to God, right after the draft, too, somebody's going to say it.
Scooter,
we got our guy.
Scooter's going to say it right after the draft.
We got our guys. Yep. It's our year. It's our 100% year.
100% Scooter Magruder.
Dude, I'm going to
love Scooter Magruder.
I'm going to be so angry.
He's so delusional. I love it. But, like, he's so funny. All right, your last one.
For my last one. A guy that I think I added actually for the first time last week. I think it was last week anyways. Hold on, let me flip over to my book here. Did I put him on? Yeah, I did put him on here last week. I'm just doubling down on it even harder because the guy just likes to say and do a lot of dumb things.
Woody?
And I've now added him into the 10th circle. He wasn't last week, but he is this week. Jim Irsay.
Okay.
Welcome to the 10th circle.
Okay.
You mad lad who started off as a fun, rich old dude who has turned into a now mad, grumpy old rich dude.
Did you see what their GM said?
Yes, unfortunately. Dude.
We're not even close. What?
No, you're not.
But you went out last year and you re-signed all these guys, and now it's bad? Do you know what you're doing anymore?
No. That's also why I don't understand the whole choice to keep both the GM and the coach when clearly neither one seems to know what the fuck they're doing.
All right. At this point, we're probably back because I've probably taken on the black screen. So, hi. Potatoes?
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 Sure.
You can start if you want.
All right, I'll go with the super tame one. We've already discussed it a little bit anyway. So, Sam Darnold will be on a new team next year.
Yeah, I'll eat that. I honestly believe he will. Niners, Browns, Seahawks.
Yeah, those are all great options.
There's a couple out there. The Raiders will come
Cowboys.
Probably not.
It could happen. It could happen, though.
I doubt it, though.
Sure.
The Raiders will come calling. I think he should not take that at all. I think he should put that phone down. If
the Jets.
Hold on. If Matt Stafford retires.
Yep, the Rams. That would be a good option too. Yep.
Yep. All right. So my first one that's pretty tame. At least I think it's tame. And then I have two that fit together. So you're gonna have to bear with me on that one.
Yeah, of course.
But the first one here, maybe the Cowboys head coaching job is the worst job in the NFL.
I feel like it was either last week or the week before where you had the same question, but it was for a different job position.
No, I had the Patriots were the best job.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is the worst one. And do you want me to explain why I think this?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I can understand. To be frank, you don't need to detail it out to me because you're not the first that I've heard this from. So that's why I thought it was funny because I've seen this argument already. I don't know if it's necessarily the worst, but goddamn, it's pretty close.
And like,
it's pretty close.
If you look at it, it's because when they win, it's not the coach; it's Jerry in the roster construction.
It's Jerry in the roster.
When they lose, it's the coach. Can you even name the previous coaches and what happened to them before friggin' McCarthy?
Before McCarthy, we had Garrett, right?
Yep. Where did he go?
He ended up becoming a defensive coordinator.
I don't know. All I know is he's never had another head coaching gig. And I don't know why
I think he became a defensive coordinator somewhere.
I don't know why he'd be a defensive coordinator, considering he was a quarterback.
No, offensive. Yeah, no, I think he was offensive coordinator. Sorry, I think he was an offensive coordinator for... I have no idea. I forget where he went. I think he went somewhere. I thought it was the Falcons at first, but I could be wrong on that. Probably am very wrong on that.
Before Garrett?
Before Garrett was there for a while. Who was before Garrett?
Say?
I didn't watch a ton of football at that point though, because when I started watching, really watching a lot again. So was right at towards the end of Garrett's era.
So before Garrett was Wade Phillips.
I completely forgot that he even had a head coaching job there, at all.
Yep, and before Wade Phillips was Bill Parcells.
No, that one I do remember. I just it's not a name that I remembered at the time. The timeline of where he was at.
Yeah, and look at those guys. Not both of them were successful before Dallas, and neither of them had a job afterwards.
No. No.
Chan Gailey was in there, and he was a successful offensive coordinator, and then after Dallas, he was done. Yeah, the Dallas job is a killer.
Who's the offensive coordinator for Dallas?
Right now, I could not tell you. It used to be Kellen Moore, and he was the offensive coordinator for a little bit in San Diego, or the Chargers.
Schottenheimer. Okay.
Is it Schottenheimer?
Brian? Yeah, Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer.
The son of Marty.
Yep.
Who was a really good head coach. Or at least a decent one, if I remember right. Very offensively gifted. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just checking something real quick.
What you checking?
So the last time Garrett had a job was in January of 2020. He was the Giants' offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Never a head coach again.
November 23rd of 2021, he was fired by the Giants. Then he was rumored to be the frontrunner for the Duke University head coaching job.
That went elsewhere.
Didn't get that job.
Nope.
And then
is he a commentator now?
He's broadcasting, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought.
On April 2022, it was announced that Garrett would be an analyst for NBC Sports.
Yep.
He joined Collinsworth as part of the Notre Dame football on NBC. Yeah, so that's what he's been doing since. He's been just the commentating. So his last head coaching job was the Cowboys job.
Yep. Like I said.
Well then.
Now you understand why I said what I said.
It's definitely not a great spot. I'll say that much.
All right. What you got for your next one for me?
My next one is a fairly spicy one. You might say it's really spicy, but I disagree personally, but it is fairly spicy. Maybe, just maybe, Commanders are going to make it to the Super Bowl.
No, I'll eat that a little bit. I had some thoughts on that.
Because their path is not going to be easy if you look at it. Like, their next matchup is...
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But it's not... neither of team is going to be easy for them.
No.
Yeah. It's a possibility. Absolutely is. And I would love to see it. That would be so much fun.
I mean, come on. A rookie QB takes his team to a Super Bowl.
Rookie QB and head coach?
Come on. Yeah.
Come on.
That's just a fun story.
That's just... Yeah, that's fun. Okay. My next one... So your immediate thing is going to be to reject this, but I want you to think about the team involved before you outright reject it. Maybe the next head coach of the Chicago Bears will be Arthur Smith?
It would be amazingly dumb, but perfectly encapsulates the Bears.
I said it. He because it came out today that he interviewed for the job.
Yeah,
and I was like, if somebody's going to give him a shot, it's going to be Chicago.
I don't think he'll get another job. I don't think he'll get another shot quite yet. But if there's a team that would do it, it would be the Bears. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. If it happens, I think that's the moment where I need to start calling for the GM's fucking spot. Like to be like, all right, sir, you've had enough time as the GM. It's time to hand back that throne now to somebody else.
Hand over the crown. You're an idiot.
You've obviously drank too much of the Kool-Aid. It's time. I don't know if someone gave you a magic 8-ball. I don't know what happened, but it's time.
The magic 8-ball has brainwashed you, sir.
It's time to put down the magic 8-ball, sir.
Who should I bring in as head coach?
Arthur Smith.
All right, give me your last one.
All right, my very last one is a potentially very spicy. If you know the matchup, it's, I think, potentially very spicy, but that's just me. Maybe. Just maybe. The Chiefs will be one and done?
No. I don't think they have anything to fear from Texas, sadly. From Houston.
It could happen.
That's so spicy. That's not spicy. That's call the fire department.
Hey, listen, if it happens, we're gonna have that discussion next week where I go, I told you so.
Okay. If it happens, you're gonna be allowed to tell me you told me so. I will totally go for that. 100%. So, here's my last one. Remember, we're in the timeline where I already talked about Arthur Smith leaving for the Bears. Maybe Mike McCarthy will not be a head coach next season, but will instead be the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator?
I kind of doubt that. Only, and it's not because of like it couldn't happen, but it's more on the aspect of when Mike McCarthy left Green Bay, he didn't take a coordinator job. He went and sat and waited around for a while, drew up new plays and stuff.
Yeah, but
and then
he
took
also
another head
had
coaching
a
gig.
Super Bowl victory and everything else underneath his belt where he could now.
I'm well aware of that. I'm just saying he doesn't come across as the type that wants to be a coordinator.
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
But now he's never really had to rehab his image before. Now he's got the image of can't get it done in the playoffs. Good regular season coach maybe fell apart at the end. Needs a rehab. So sometimes, like a Cliff Kingsbury, like an Arthur Smith, you need to take a coordinator job to prove you still got the cojones.
I'm not disagreeing that might be the right play. I'm saying that he's old school enough that I don't think that will be something he would do. And that's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not...
It's more from the perspective of, like, I just don't see him logically, emotionally making that decision, even though it would be logically a good decision to make.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. That's fair.
No, that's just where I'm at with it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's one that I would normally... I don't know, the Steelers is a weird option, but I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just don't think that Mike McCarthy would make that choice.
Fair. The only way that I could see it happening is if they were saying, hey, if the season is, like, give us a couple of seasons, let us shuffle the head coach out the door, and then we'll bump you up.
That's basically what it would be. It'd be like, oh yeah, Mike Tomlin's got only like another year or two. He's going to be on the outs.
And then we're going to shuffle him out the door, and we'll bring you up as the head coach.
Yeah.
That would be.
And even then, I'd be shocked by that because that we know the owners of that family love Mike Tomlin. That doesn't seem like something they would do.
Something they would do, exactly.
Like he's more likely to leave on good terms or retire before that happens. To be honest with you.
Alrighty, game balls.
Sure.
Game balls.
Me or you?
I'll start. Lad McConkey. Losing effort, don't care, game ball.
I was going to say, he was the only one that tried anything. Derrick Henry, game ball.
He was on my list. Jaden Daniels, game ball.
That's fair. Eagles defense, game ball.
Josh Allen, game ball.
No, he was on my list too. Well, I didn't want to do two of the same type, but you've left me with very little options. You know what? I'm going to call it James Cook. Game ball. I think he played well enough to
That's
get one.
fine. There was also the other guy on my list was Nico Collins.
Yeah, Nico was also a potential
played
possibility.
very, very well.
I thought about it. Didn't do it, but thought about it.
Alrighty. Power rankings?
Sure. My list is all over the place.
My list is fairly easy right now. However, I'll get through the two teams that are on my list that aren't on yours because you're only doing 8.
Yes.
So at number 10, I have the Vikings. They were number 4. That was an embarrassing loss. But I can't drop you all the way out for that one loss. It was bad, though. At number 9 is the Buccaneers. You lost by a doink. You played a great game. You played a halfway decent season this year. You'll probably be back again next year. You look good. I'm not saying they're bad. You need to upgrade your secondary, and, maybe you'll be a more complete team. All right. Number 8 for you.
At number 8, I have the Texans. Personally, out of all of the teams that are currently still in the running in the playoffs, I think that they are the weakest, personally. Not because their roster is weaker. I think they actually have a lot of really good parts on paper. But just the way they're playing recently and with some of the injuries that they've also been dealt, I just don't think they're playing very well, to be blunt. And the fact that they beat the Chargers is honestly more a testament of the Chargers beating themselves rather than the Texans beating the Chargers.
I have the Texans at number 8 for the exact same reasons. 100% agree with you.
At number 7, then I have done some changes. I've switched up a couple of things on my list. This one is going to be one of those weird changes where I think there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very angry about this. But I have put the Eagles at number 7. I think that they are a really... Yeah, I know. You're giving me weird looks. I get it. I think they're a really good football team. But I think they have... I don't know. There's just something about them that makes me feel like there's something missing. And I feel like one of these teams above them will give them a little bit more of a running for their money than they expected. That's where I'm at with that.
You thought that way about the Packers, too, and they lost 22-10.
I know. I was right.
Maybe,
that the Packers
No.
Oh,
you
no,
thought the
they were
Eagles,
be good,
there was something missing from the Eagles, and the Packers could take them out. 22-10.
Yeah.
So look,
I was wrong about the Packers.
To stop
be fair.
listening to your stomach where your gut is.
I have been right on about 90% of these so far. All right.
You've been right on about 50% of these so far.
No. I mean, as in as far as what teams will be good when. So far, I've been pretty good on that. Not as far as picking teams, but I've been pretty accurate. I've been pretty accurate on going, this team looks like they're going to be good at this time. This team is going to be good at this time. So far, I've been pretty accurate. When we called it the Texans, and when I started calling them shit, was earlier on in the season, and I was right, and they've continued to be that way. Just saying.
Number 7, I have the Commanders. Again, I don't think they're bad. This is one of those lists where I feel like any team could be anywhere on this list.
That's also what I want to try to argue here.
From 7 upward, you could arrange this list however you want. But I put the Commanders here because they are a lower seed, but they are so fun to watch. I don't know, okay? They're one of those teams that I feel, in order to win, has to have the ball last.
Then pretty much.
So if you can avoid that mistake...
Weirdly enough, you can make that argument about almost any of these teams, though.
Yes and no. Anyway, they're number 7. If you beat the Lions, though, you're going to take a substantial jump up this list.
At number 6, I have the Commanders. For most of the same reasons, I just think they're just a little bit better than the Eagles, like I said. So again, we're not talking about leaps and bounds difference. We're talking
the Eagles
small
at the
differences.
End of the season by a point or two? Not much.
So that's like I said, even though I put the Eagles at 7 originally, and I know you were giving me weird looks. Again, we got to remember these teams are really close to each other. We're talking very small differences amongst all of them, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do have the Eagles at 7, and then 6 I have the Commanders. I think the Commanders are just a slightly better football team. They just put it this way: where the Eagles feel like they're missing something, the Commanders feel like they should be missing something, yet they have a spark that the Eagles don't have. There's a spark within that team that it is, and honestly, you know what? I'm not going to call it out as I see it. I think the Eagles' biggest issue is Nick Sirianni. I think he drags that sideline down. That sideline looks like they're never actually enjoying being there. Like to be like, I hate to be that guy, but like they never look like they're actually fun. They don't look like they're just enjoying life. I don't know.
At number 6, I have the Rams of Los Angeles. You drubbed the Vikings. You're fully healthy, finally. Um, you're playing really good football. Your young offensive line is doing things like everybody used to be worried about Aaron Donald. Now you got to be worried about everybody on that line. There's like legitimately, because you've got Kobe Turner, you've got Jared Verse, and you've got Braden Fisk on that line. And any one of them, and then you've got some of the other guys, some of the other secondaries, linebackers, defensive ends. Everything on that line and linebacking core can get you. I really like what I've seen from LA recently. And then on the offensive side with Puka and Stafford is a great quarterback and Kyron Williams is their running back. Cooper Kupp has become like an afterthought, which is scary to think about. So yeah, Rams at 6.
That's fair. At number 5, I have the Ravens. Another really good football team. Another team that I think is quite good. That could go quite far, but they have an incredibly tough opponent. So we'll see how things go. The one thing that I wanted to point out that I think is really funny, and I noticed this after I made my list, is that weirdly enough, the 3 teams that I have here at 7 or at 5, 6, and 7. So you got the Ravens, Commanders, and Eagles have very similar play styles and very similar players. Like all 3 of them have what I call the kind of the power 3, right? They all have at least one really good wide receiver. They have a really good quarterback, and they have at least one really good running back. All 3 of them do. It's crazy how similar they are, and the QBs across all 3 of them play very similarly football.
Mm-hmm. They're all 3 mobile style quarterbacks.
They're all mobile style, dead-eye, strong-armed, fairly strong arms. I'd say Jalen's probably the weakest arm. Jalen Hurts is probably the weakest armed out of all 3 of them, but all of them have fairly strong arms. They all, like I said, have a strong wide receiver. So, like the Ravens have Zay Flowers, the Eagles have A.J. Brown, and the Commanders have Terry McLaurin. They all have good running backs. Eagles have Saquon, Ravens have Derrick Henry, and the Commanders had Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know if he's still out or injured or whatever, but he's also been really good for him while he's healthy. Like, I don't know. I just find that very humorous how close these 3 teams are actually to each other, in terms of not just players they have, but like play styles. It's just kind of funny.
At number 5, I have the Chiefs. Don't think they're going to be one and done, but also the way they've been playing this year, I'm not sure they're making the Super Bowl.
That's true. I can understand that. At 4, I have the Rams. I'm a little higher up on them. You could call it a little bit of copium, perhaps, but I think that the Rams are probably one of the best dark horse teams that we have left in the playoffs. I think they are a team that you don't see them on the schedule and you go, "Oh boy, we're playing the Rams." Like, no, they're a scary ass football team. They've shown now several times they have a really good defense that's come alive late in the season. Their offense is cooking again now that they're fully healthy, just like last year. They pulled the same shit last year. Like, I don't know if this is just a thing they like to do. Get injured early on so that we can get healthy at the late end. It makes sense. Like, it works for them. And I don't know. They're one of my dark horse teams that easily could end up making the Super Bowl again. To be honest with you, like they that weird ability in the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. At number 4, I have the Bills. They're a really good team. And again, it's just like we said, increments. They've lost a couple of games this year that maybe they should have won. And there's a couple other things there, but overall they're a really good team, and I think this game between them and the Ravens is going to be a hell of a game.
That's true. At 3, I have the Chiefs. They didn't play this week, so it was kind of hard to really rate them and move them around too much. So I didn't really want to. The only reason they moved up is simply because the other teams. To be blunt with you, I was expecting this wildcard weekend to be a lot more interesting football.
It really
wasn't. And so the Chiefs move up mostly because I started rating everyone else a little bit worse, more than anything else. I still think the Chiefs are a good football team. You're probably right. They probably won't be one and done. But the fact that I say it can happen, I think, shows to me that they are not as strong of a football team as they have been in the past.
Yes, I agree with that. At number 3, I have the Ravens. And yes, I did put them over the Bills. There's a couple of reasons for this. First off, I just think they're a more dangerous team. Yes, their defense is prone to errors. However, if I remember right, they played the Bills earlier this year and beat them.
That was also, to be fair, before the Bills went on their crazy win streak.
You're not wrong, but
so, it was very early on in the season.
Yes, but the Ravens, I think, could still beat the Bills. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Flowers is back, so I think there's a lot that the Bills are going to have to cover and deal with. There's also a lot that the Ravens are going to have to cover and deal with. So it's going to be, I think it's going to come down to who can stop the other's quarterback and who can stop the other's running game. I think that's really what it comes down to. If the Ravens can stuff up James Cook and keep him from getting out in the flats and catching the ball, I think the Ravens can pull out the victory. If the Bills can shut down Zay Flowers and, especially if they can shut down Derrick Henry, but nobody really shuts down Derrick. If you could shut down Zay and force Lamar to have to run more, I think you've got a chance.
I can agree with that.
But
I can understand. I don't necessarily. I should say that I can understand. I don't necessarily agree, but I can understand.
Other way, I think the Ravens are at 3. There's something about them. They're playing with a looseness that I haven't seen before.
Fair enough.
Watching the pressers with Lamar, he doesn't have it. As much as people want to say, "Oh, it's Lamar needs a Super Bowl to really cement," blah 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 blah. I'm like, if I'm gonna be straight up honest with you, he's not acting like he needs any of that. At least not this season. He's very relaxed. And I think
the thing is, I think he just kind of knows that, like, he's like, listen, I'm a good QB. I'm gonna at some point win a Super Bowl, inevitably. Like, it would be shocking if it doesn't outside of like a crazy injury or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna worry about it. It'll come when it comes.
And I think the rest of the league should be worried about that this year because it's just relaxed. And I think he's playing really good football because of it. All right, your turn.
Yeah, we'll see. At 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. I understand where you're coming from, and I still disagree. I think Josh Allen, while you're saying Lamar looks composed and like he's not trying to play for anything, and that can be a dangerous thing, I think equally it can be just as dangerous to have a player who looks like he's fighting tooth and nail every single play that he plays. And there's no other player like Josh Allen that does that. Josh Allen, when he's on that football field, especially this year, has looked like he wants to take over the play every single play. While sometimes that can be a problem, we've talked about how, kind of almost a ball hog mentality, that can be a problem. he does it in the most positive way possible, because it's not, I want the ball just for the sake of having the ball. It's, I want the ball because I know how good I am, and I know that I have the best chance at winning us the football game if you give me the ball and allow me to do what I want with it. He's that fucking good. He scares the shit out of me, to be honest. Like, out of all the quarterbacks on this list, I think outside of potentially Mahomes, maybe, I would argue is maybe the only other dangerous quarterback just because of what he can, how he plays and what he can do.
Daniels.
Don't get me wrong. Huh?
Daniels.
I was going to say, that's why I said don't get me wrong. Other players on here are very dangerous. Jaden Daniels, we've only seen a rookie year of, so we can't cement that quite yet off of 1 year. Because obviously, if we did that, CJ Stroud looked very dangerous last year in comparison to this year. So we do have to hold that off. But and heck, you could make that same argument for Jalen Hurts. He had a really good year followed up by a really bad year. So there is some of that. Matthew Stafford, though, I'd argue is a good benchmark as well, right? Very good. Mm-hmm. I still think Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. They're very, honestly, they're very similar players. They're both tough guys who will not take no for an answer. If they get injured, they'll go back out and play. I just think Josh Allen's a bigger version of Matthew Stafford, can run a little harder than Matthew Stafford, and has a little bit bigger of an arm than Stafford. He's almost the same thing, just a little bit bigger. I don't know. I just... Maybe you could say I'm glazing up fucking, Josh Allen too much, but, like, it's hard not to look at how he plays football and go, that dude's just dominant at fucking football.
My number 2 is the Eagles. Whereas you think they're lacking something, I think they have something. And for me, it's as much as much as you're talking about Josh Allen just taking over games, the Eagles have a player that can do that as well, and his name is Saquon Barkley.
Well, he can't throw a football, so
No, but he hasn't needed to. This is the most dominant running back performance we've seen since Adrian Peterson. In his magical year where he, 2012, I think, when he won the MVP award.
I think so.
We haven't seen a running back do this since then. And this is the first time we're seeing it again. It's transcendent. If he had played the last week, he'd have broken Dickerson's record. And probably secured himself MVP while doing it.
Granted, needed more games for it, though.
And less carries.
More games.
Less carries.
I'd
argue games doesn't matter as much as carries do.
Yeah, I would disagree with that, but I understand what you're saying.
In fact, it took Dickerson about 30 more carries than what Saquon would have wound up with, more than likely.
I still think the games matter more, but that's just me.
I would point out that if he was getting as many carries per game as Dickerson, he'd have probably broken it in, like, week 14.
I don't know if he ever would have been given that much. We could go into semantics talking about like the reasons as to why Dickerson got so many carries. It's because he was pretty much the only good thing on that football team for a while. So of course we're not gonna sit here and argue about that. We can talk about all the reasons why he got so many carries and why Saquon hasn't gotten as many carries. I still think that it's important to point out that if we had less games, Saquon would not have gotten the record still. That's still an important thing. And that's just because of the way that offense decided to run their offense. They could have given the ball more to Saquon to secure that if they wanted to, and they didn't.
Well, anyway, point that I'm going to make about
that's all I'm saying.
Saquon is one of those players that can absolutely
but he's still a great player.
Take over a game and drag a team kicking and screaming to victory even when they don't want it. It's one of those things.
I don't know. He tried that with the Giants. It didn't work so well.
He actually made them, like, look at them this year and look at them last year when they had him.
I know. They still barely were relevant last year. That's my point. I think he still needs a team that still kind of wants to win.
They were actually I believe, in a better draft spot last year. Or worse. I believe they were, like, 6th.
They were either 5th or 6th. I don't remember.
And even the year before that. Like, dude, Saquon is absolutely a guy. He's the guy on that team, and everybody knows it.
I'm not saying he's not a great running back. I agree he is. I'm simply saying he's having one of his better seasons, and this is not something that we can expect to see of consistently.
I'm not asking that we're going to see it consistently, but just this year, right now, I'm not going to doubt it.
It's a great performance, no doubt, but it did require a good football team, specifically, I should argue, a good offensive line, which he hasn't had up until now.
No, exactly. So I think this has been really good, and again, they got a really good offensive line. Hurts is just good enough, I think, with Brown and I don't remember the other guy right now. Smith.
Yeah, Devonta Smith.
And the tight end, and their defense is just good enough that I think that number 2 is about right for them.
I get it. I don't know.
I'm not a big Sirianni guy, but right now
there's something with Nick Sirianni, but the real thing is Jalen Hurts just doesn't. I don't know. Something just feels off with Jalen Hurts when I watch him play. I agree with the Saquon bit. Saquon's great. He's the only reason that team's as far up as they are. It's the passing game that just looks. I don't know. Just doesn't look right. Hard to say. I don't know. That's just me. Obviously, that's my eye test.
Have the number 1 team is
the number Lions. 1 is the Lions. Yeah. They didn't play. It's hard to move them from a spot when they didn't play.
Exactly.
So we won't know 100% if they're going to stay here until the end of this week. But they're a really good football team. So why would we move them?
Exactly. I'm not trying to move them right now. But this is going to be a fun week.
Yes.
Alrighty. Let's talk about this upcoming weekend.
Do we gotta?
Divisional weekend.
Do we gotta?
Yup. 4 games. I'm gonna start Texans at Chiefs.
I'm gonna pull a sneaky on you, and I'm gonna pick the Chiefs.
I'm gonna stay with the Chiefs as well. I thought you were gonna have the balls.
For sure I was gonna go Texans.
Oh, I thought you were gonna have the balls to stand by that statement.
God no. You kidding me?
Commanders.
I will be still laughing if it does happen, but I don't think it will.
Commanders at Lions.
I'm picking Commanders.
You know what? So am I. Not because I want to see the Lions lose because of what they did to the Vikings.
It's but more because I want to see the Commanders.
I'm also worried about the Lions' defense.
For me, it's just I just want to see the Commanders play more because I just enjoying watching them play.
I'm enjoying watching them play too. I am really worried about the Lions' defense, though. I think there's going to be an offensive shootout.
Yeah, that's possible.
Rams at Eagles.
Rams.
I'll take the Eagles.
Like I said, I think there's something missing from the Eagles, and the Rams are a sneaky dark horse team. So
I'm not gonna be surprised if the Rams win. Like I don't think this is gonna be a blowout.
No.
But this is gonna be a really good game, and I just have a feeling the Eagles are gonna pull it out.
I get it. I just simply disagree, and that's okay.
Ravens at Bills. I think we all know which way I'm going and which way you're going.
That's going to be a great game. I'm going Bills, obviously, but it's going to be a great game.
I'll take the Ravens. I've been thumping that train pretty hard most of the season. But yeah, I think the Ravens could beat them. You think the Bills could win. Either way, that's going to be a hell of a football game.
It should be a good game.
That should be an amazing game.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Of course, we thought the Vikings game was going to be good, too, and
No, yeah. We'll see how that one goes. All right. Last week I did the depowered rankings for the NHL. I now went back to power rankings. Starting down at number 10, we have the New Jersey Devils. 26, 15, and 5, 57 points. In their last 10, they are 4, 4, and 2. Look, I don't know what's happened to Jersey. They were playing extremely good hockey, and then they've been playing some extremely mid hockey recently. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully they can pull their heads out, but this happens to Sheldon Keefe teams every so often. So I'm not entirely surprised. Number 9, we have the Maple Leafs, 27, 16, and 2, 56 points. In their last 10, they are 6 and 4. That's typical Leafs. They've had some injuries to contend with, and I think the worst moment is they got shut out at home for the first time in their history by the Vancouver Canucks. So that was not a thing that people enjoyed. But number 8, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, 26-15-3, 55 points. In their last 10, they are 5-3-2. The Hurricanes are starting to come alive again. We'll see what they do in the playoffs. I have no idea. Right now, they're playing good enough to be there. And then the things that should start worrying the rest of the league. The Colorado Avalanche, they are at number 7. They are 27.
No, Loki. Knock it off.
They are 27-17-1, total of 55 points in their last 10. They are 7-2-1. The Avs are finding their stroke, and they have turned it on. And they are riding good goaltending from an unexpected source, and just their team being the Avalanche. Number 6, the Minnesota Wild. They are 27-13-4 with a total of 58 points. In their last 10, they are 7-3-0. And that's considering the rather large growing list of people who are not playing hockey for them right now. A list which includes Kirill Kaprizov, Jonas Brodin, Brock Faber, and the captain, Jared Spurgeon. That's a pair and a half a demon and your top scorer. And you're still doing 7-3-0, and you're still hanging in there. When they get healthy again, they're going to be scary. I feel like that we say that about the Rams, but you could say that about the Wild right now, too. Number 5, the Edmonton Oilers. They are 27-13-3 with 57 points. In their last 10, they are 7-2-1. Look, they went to the Stanley Cup last year, and even though they started a little bit off this year, they turned it back around, and they are playing, again, very good hockey. We all knew they're capable of doing this. When you've got, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, anything is possible, and they are showing it here. Number 4 is the Vegas Golden Knights. 29-12-3, 61 points. In their last 10, they are 6-4. They're the Golden Knights, man. Every year they're going to be in it. They're the most mercenary franchise out there. Number 3, the Dallas Stars. God damn it. 28-14-1, 57 points. In their last 10, they are 8-1-1. They have absolutely come to life and have decided that they want to be amazing. And they've absolutely done that. They've rocketed up the power rankings, and they've rocketed up the standings. They are playing really good hockey right now. Number 2, the Washington Capitals. 29-10-5, 63 points. In their last time, they are 6-1-3. They're still playing good hockey. They've got Ovechkin back. Ovechkin's now in he's chasing records. So this is fun to watch. I think we're going to enjoy what the Capitals are doing again. And number 1, back up at number 1, the Winnipeg Jets. 30-12-3, 63 points. Last 10, they are 6-2-2. The Jets have again begun to find their stride again. Hellebuck is still Hellebuck. This could be their year. Not a huge Jets fan, but it is nice to see it happening to a team, a city that lost their team and then got it back. I'm very happy for that. So yeah, that's where they stand right now. The only other piece of hockey news that I have is that the Pittsburgh Penguins are placing Tristan Jarry, their goalie, on waivers. So, at any rate, that's all I have. There are a bunch of people declaring for the draft, and as this season winds down and we get to the end of it, we're going to start looking ahead at the draft in April. A couple of months away. There will be a mock draft that we do right before the draft. We'll also do a breakdown It'll be a couple of weeks. We'll do an offensive and defensive, what we believe could be first rounders or fringe rounders breakdown of the positions, and we'll go over kind of, we'll do our own mock drafts and we'll have that happen. And then, of course, as usual, we will record ourselves watching the draft and our reactions to what happens in the draft. So hopefully we all enjoy that, and it's a good rip-roaring time.
Yeah.
But we hope that everybody had a great week. We hope that whatever you set your mind to, you accomplished. If you didn't, we believe that you could do it. Get out there, put your head into it, put your mind to it. We believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. In the meantime, we'll tell everybody out there, we'll be back next week. Stay bearded.